This is Dan Dicks here, reporting for Press for Truth with breaking news. Rest in peace, Ghislaine Maxwell, 12/25/61, to probably sometime next week, as they're now getting their ducks in a line. This is Bill and Hillary Clinton, of course. Lastly, I'm truly sorry for all the hurt that I and I alone have caused. Goodbye, crew world. Signed, Ghislaine. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know more about who these people are and the trial that happened with them than you do about who these people are and the trial that is going down with her, then either your priorities are not in the right place, or perhaps it's not necessarily your fault because the media has not been reporting on this. Well, today is the day that she is getting her sentencing. Her victims want her to die in prison. Maxwell's sexual abuse victims confront her in New York court as she prepares to be sentenced. She's got her family there, her siblings, Kevin and Isabel and Christine. They all arrive in court once again to support their beloved sister as she's confronted by Epstein's victims and faces sentencing. And the sentencing has come in, ladies and gentlemen. Ghislaine Maxwell gets 20 years over sex trafficking. Now, whether or not she actually serves that remains to be seen, and that's a whole nother topic that we will talk about in this video, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do, I'd ask that you quickly check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to bring you this info. Just quickly, you can do one-time donation with PayPal. You can do Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. You can join me on Subscribestar. That's a great Patreon alternative. You could also sign up right here as a Patreon alternative since I have been kicked off Patreon. And you can do a monthly recurring contribution. You can also do e-transfers to Dan at pressfortruth.ca. I also have a P.O. box, guys. Links for the address to all of these are located in the description below. Thank you to anybody who does take the time to check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate. All right, guys, if you're kind of new to the Jeffrey Epstein Maxwell case, if you just go to my site and you do a search for Maxwell Epstein, you'll see I got pages of coverage like this. It didn't start with Maxwell and Epstein. MK Ultra victim speaks out. Or the Ghislaine Maxwell new trial, new photos and transcripts are out with big names being mentioned. Or this one, busted in 2011. Ex-Reddit CEO knew that Ghislaine Maxwell was supplying underage girls for sex. It goes on and on. I got a couple pages, guys. Be sure to go back and check it all out. The arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell has powerful people shaking in their boots, breaking Epstein, the prince, and the president, and the brother, and the meme. Again, it goes on and on. So if you want to catch up on this, you can do so there. Real quickly, guys, I'll show you this because, it has everything to do with what's going on right now. This just out, sex scandal involving Prince Andrew prompts high school in Nova Scotia to change its name. A high-profile sex scandal involving Prince Andrew is prompting a school in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia to change its name. As of August 1st, Prince Andrew High School will be renamed Woodlawn High School to reflect the name and the street and the subdivision where the school is located. The school was named after Prince Andrew in 1960, the year that he was born. But a recent sex scandal involving a 17-year-old girl and a disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein led to the school to distance itself from the royal. Obviously, Andrew has been accused by a woman of sexually abusing her while she traveled with Epstein in 2001 when she was just 17 years old. And the prince reached a deal that called for him to make a substantial donation to his accuser's charity. Yeah, millions of dollars was paid out by the prince. Principal Craig Campbell says that the name of the school should reflect the values of the school's community. A number of potential names were circulated, and Woodland High School was the most popular one to be taken. So things are already starting to happen before the sentence was even announced, but people know deep down that these high-profile, influential people who are involved with Epstein and Maxwell are some of the sickest of the sickest out there. Absolute pedophiles involved in a child sex trafficking ring. As we see here, she just got 20 years. So let's take a quick look at this. Ghislaine Maxwell has been sentenced to 20 years in a U.S. prison for helping disgraced former financier Jeffrey Epstein abusing young girls. Maxwell, who's 60, was convicted in December of recruiting and trafficking 4 teenage girls for sexual abuse by Epstein, her then boyfriend. One of her accusers said outside the court earlier that she would remain in prison. She should remain in prison for the rest of her life. Epstein killed himself in a Manhattan jail cell in 2019, and that is a highly contentious issue. Can be can be argued that that certainly is not the truth whatsoever. If you do a search for Jeffrey Epstein on my site, you will see all my coverage that I have in regards to him allegedly committing suicide in that courtroom, but according to some of my research, that doesn't look to be the case. But at any rate, he had been awaiting his own sex trafficking trial. Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes took place over a decade, between 1994 and 2004. Before her sentencing, Maxwell dressed in prison clothes and apologized to the victims. She said she empathized with them, and that meeting was the biggest regret of her life, meeting with Epstein. My association with Epstein will permanently stain me. It already sounds like she's more concerned about herself here than all the victims and all the people she procured for Jeffrey Epstein. I think they settled about 150 different cases, millions and millions and millions of dollars that she was involved with over, decades. And she's worried about how this is going to permanently stain her. What about all the victims that she was procuring for this pedophile? She said, adding that she hoped her prison sentence would allow the victims peace and finality. Maxwell has been in custody since her arrest in July 2020, held mostly at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, where she has complained of the stink of raw sewage in her cell. Well, boo freaking who? Worried about the smell of the cell? You're facing sentencing for being involved in a child sex trafficking ring. Nobody cares about your issues with the smell. The case against British former socialites, I wish they'd stop calling her that. She's a pedophile, Stop calling her a former British socialite and call her what she is. A sex offending pedophile who is a total monster, deserving of 20 years, but probably much, much more. She's deserving. Prosecution was aiming for 55, I believe, and that's probably what should have been given. To think that she's actually going to spend 20, I kind of highly doubt that. Probably do 10 at best, but maybe not even. That remains to be seen. The case against this former socialite has been one of the highest profiles since the emergence of the Me Too movement, which encouraged women to speak out about sexual abuse. Well, it hasn't been that high profile. Like I said, most people know, who these people are and understand and saw the trial more so than they know anything about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. So I don't know if it was really all that highest profile case. The judge allowed 4 women to speak at the hearing, as well as allowing a statement by Virginia Giuffre to be read by her lawyer in her absence. Annie Farmer, the only victim on the indictment to give evidence under her full name during the trial, was first to speak. Maxwell chose not to look at Farmer throughout her statement, instead choosing to just look straight ahead, just sipping on water. Ms. Farmer had to pause midway through her speech in order to contain her emotions, but continued to read her statement to the court in full. Sarah Ransom, who did not testify at the trial but was due to give an impact statement, spoke outside the court alongside fellow accuser Elizabeth Stein. Ghislaine Maxwell must die in prison because I've been in hell and back for the last 17 years, she said. I was 10 years old when Liz Stein was being trafficked. I was 10. That is how long this sex trafficking ring has been going on for, and it should have just taken one survivor to come forward for us to be taken seriously. It should not have been this hard. That's because the man is highly protected. Many believe he is a double, maybe even a triple agent, working for Mossad, working for British intelligence, operating this, sex trafficking ring that would entrap famous, rich, and influential and powerful people by blackmailing them, obtaining footage of them, engaging in illegal sexual activities with minors, being able to basically control these people like puppets on a string when you have that kind of blackmail looming over them. That's what the whole operation was about. So really, we ought to be asking the question of who's on the client list. But we'll get to that. During the trial, Miss Farmer and 3 other women, identified in court only by their first names or pseudonyms to protect their privacy, testified that they had been abused as minors at Epstein's home in Florida, New York, and New Mexico, and the Virgin Islands. They recounted how Maxwell had talked them into giving Epstein massages, which turned sexual, luring them with gifts and promises about how Epstein could use his money and his connections to help them. Maxwell's lawyers have tried to portray their client as a positive influence on other inmates in jail, offering to teach them yoga and help them learn English. Isn't that so nice? What a sweet, sweet, kind old lady. Pfft. Yeah, we're not buying it. The crimes of Epstein, who mixed with some of the world's most famous people, were first reported in the media in 2005, and he served prison time in Florida in 2008 and 2009 on a state charge of procuring a minor for prostitution. Following numerous lawsuits, he was arrested again in 2019 in a federal case in New York. And again, the questions now come down to, why are we not being shown who is on Epstein and Maxwell's client list? Who were they procuring these women for? It's not just Jeffrey Epstein. As I said, this was a blackmail ring operation, and they had high-profile names on this list, or the alleged black book from Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, you may recall this one. This is from a few years back. The big names in Jeffrey Epstein's black book. You got Trump, Clinton's, Prince Andrew, Bill Cosby, Woody Allen, and more, who are on this sex traffickers phone list. Like we said, Bill Clinton, you know, Britain's Prince Andrew, former Minister Tony Blair, Bill Cosby, Ron Burkle. You got Henry Kissinger, John Kerry, the late Saudi arms dealer Adnan Khashoggi, Rupert Murdoch, you know, director Woody Allen. It just goes on and on. This doesn't even mention Bill Gates in this particular one, who met with Epstein multiple times after he was already convicted as being a pedophile. He continued to meet with the man. This is why many people believe that Bill and Melinda Gates have gotten a divorce. It was over the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile ring connection. The article contains summaries of Epstein's relationships with very well-heeled people whose names appear in these documents, including President Trump, who once called Epstein a terrific guy in an interview with New York, and Bill Clinton, who traveled multiple times on Epstein's plane, the Lolita Express. Trump's wife, Ivana, is in the book. Also his third wife, Melania, and his daughter, Ivanka, currently senior advisor to the president. Again, this is an old video. But the list is huge, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if they have some of the people pictured in this article. That's the poor girl who attempted to commit suicide twice while the trials were going on. She just was having a hard time dealing with it. Thankfully, she survived, and today read out her victim impact statement. There's an old picture of them. There's Maxwell's family showing up to the court. This is the guy who caused the original juror. He was the original juror who went rogue because he didn't disclose his past of sexual abuse as a child. But here's the images of the victim statements who are not being identified. Here's one of the massage tables they showed, which is easily folded up. Obviously, these guys are together. They're a couple doing this stuff together. There's her father, Maxwell, who is also a highly controversial figure, who died in a highly controversial way, falling off the edge of his boat, of his yacht, apparently. And there's the prince, Andrew, with Virginia Roberts, who claims that she was forced to have sex with the prince while she was just 17 years old. And it is highly believed that a lot of these types of interactions were filmed and are currently being held by the FBI. That's the real question. Where is this current client list? I mean, look, there's this Chelsea Clinton, Bill and Hillary Clinton's daughter's wedding, and look who's there in attendance. The one, the only, Ghislaine Maxwell at the president's daughter's wedding. This should be just mind-boggling to you if you've never seen this before. Here they are meeting with the Pope. I mean, to say that they weren't highly connected to influential and powerful people is quite the understatement. They're in with the royals, they're in with the politicians, they're in with the movie stars. They had it all, guys, and today it's all coming down. It's all coming down. Thank God, 20 years. But, you know, the prosecution was seeking 55, and we know how corrupt this stuff is. So it remains to be seen how long she will actually be in there. Now, I don't wish death upon anyone, not even my worst of enemies. I would much more rather see Ghislaine Maxwell just rot in a prison cell for the rest of her life. But this indeed is something that we have to pay attention to moving forward as well, considering the history here and the track record with people who have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein. So, a bit of good news today, guys. 20 years is certainly better than nothing, or better than 4 that she wanted. It's unfortunate she didn't get life, but we'll see how this one develops. But certainly good news for today, guys. Once again, if you appreciate my efforts to continuously bring you this information, to try to counter through all the propaganda and the spin that you're getting from the mainstream, don't forget to check me out right here, pressfortruth.ca/donate. Once again, guys, links are all located for all of this in the description below. And that is all for today, my friends. I want to thank you once again for being a loyal subscriber to me here at Press for Truth. Don't forget to click that thumbs up button or that fire button or whatever that button is on whatever platform you happen to be viewing this on to help spread this information. And don't forget to check the links in the description to all the sources to this video, and also to where you can find me on pressfortruth.ca/donate. And that's all for today, my friends. I want to thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. We will have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.